Good one. Well, it's only 12 days to the start of the 2022 FIFA World Cup that's going to take place in Qatar. And you know what? It's going to be here sooner rather than later. And our hashtag is World Cup Eco KBC. And here are the things that you need to know. 28 of those matches will be beamed live right here on KBC Channel 1. And 68 of those matches also will be broadcast on all our radio stables on KBC. Good evening, my name is Mboya, top on this live broadcast.
Important members, and especially the Kenya Airways pilots, resume their duties as pilots by 6 a.m. on 9th November 2022 on condition.
The Employment and Labor Relations Court orders striking Kenya Airways pilots to resume duty.
Nobody ever said, I repeat it here, that university funds are going to be done away with. No.
For the record, I did not call the defunding of public universities, says Education CS Ezekiel Machogu. Toll of drought on education. Candidates from arid and semi-arid regions could miss national examinations. And remember, World Cup Eco KBC. Tonight, we feature an American soccer team captain, Christian Pulisic. I've settled with my jacket on. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Our socials at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Mboya24, and our sign language interpreter, Susan Thuku. Let's go straight to our top story. Striking Kenya Airways pilots have been ordered to unconditionally resume work Wednesday morning. The Employment and Labor Relations Court Judge Justice Anna Mboya, in her ruling, also ordered that KQ management should facilitate the pilots' return to work without intimidating or punishing those who participated in the strike. The ruling comes after the court ordered the two parties to agree on a working solution that will guide the talks to the end of the stalemate. Here is that report.
Kenya Airways flights are expected to resume tomorrow after the High Court ordered the striking pilots to return to work unconditionally by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Important members, and especially the Kenya Airways pilots, resume their duties as pilots by 6 a.m. on 9th November 2022 on condition.
In the ruling, the High Court also warned the KQ management against victimizing the pilots who went on strike, urging the management to facilitate the resumption of duties.
The applicants beg you to allow the pilots to perform their duties without harassing them or intimidating them, and especially by not taking any disciplinary action against any of them pending the hearing and determination of this suit.
The part of intimidation that the Kenya Airlines have taken against them must cease. And that's a court order that Kenya Airways will not partake further intimidation of the pilots. They have to come to the table in good faith and negotiate this dispute.
The pilots dismissed Kenya Airways' threat of legal action for contempt of court, arguing that they had valid grounds to go on strike, and pleaded for 7 days to argue out their case. A prayer Lady Justice Anna Mboya declined, saying a solution has to be found to stop further financial hemorrhage at the airline.
Officials of the respondent have reasons why they could not comply with the court orders. Allow them to canvass them.
We are stranded, all of us. Nobody can travel in or out with KQ. So if you give you another 7 days, we are counting how many losses per day? 300,000 is 300 million is a week. So divide that by 7. So I just would have preferred that I don't take you to jail, because I hear what you're saying. Even if you go to jail, it's not a solution.
is not a solution.
According to the airline CEO, Alan Kilavuka, the management had contemplated replacing the pilots whose strike had cost the national carrier 300 million shillings per day.
KQ was not making any concessions until the pilots go to work. That's really all we said. It's very difficult to negotiate with a gun on your head. That's essentially what we had. So how can KQ negotiate when the pilots have withheld their labor, which is central to an airline?
For now, we are very hopeful that the negotiations that will be court supervised are going to yield fruit.
The case will be heard on 21st this month. Benson Druba reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu has dismissed sentiments attributed to him that government intends to cut funding of public universities. Machogu says that he was quoted out of context as he was merely asking universities to seek alternative revenue streams. The CS said that funding of public universities is protected, including the capitation of the Higher Education Loans Board, and cannot therefore be affected under the current government cost-cutting measures.
The sentiment attributed to Education CS Ezekiel Machogu has rubbed stakeholders in the higher education the wrong way. Voices of discontent emanating from unions and even university students' leadership terming the move ill-advised and an attempt to drive the poor out of higher education circles.
It means now education is going to remain for the rich only.
So for him now to withdraw that little funding, it means majority of the learners from the poor background are going to drop out of the school.
But Tuesday, Machogu made it clear that his remarks at Dedan Kimathi University in Nyeri was taken out of context. The CS clarifying that his call was for universities to expand their revenue generation streams where possible to meet the financial gaps.
What we said is yes, government is supporting universities and the government will be able to continue supporting universities through capitation and even infrastructural funds. Government will never stop funding universities.
Machogu was in Kiambu said funding to public universities is intact and ring-fenced, that the government will continue supporting such institutions of higher learning, and that the Kenya Kwanza plan is to increase research funding from 0.8% to 2%.
Which are already doing research and innovation, and by so doing, they are generating a lot of revenue. And what we are saying is that we can also explore other ways of generating income, other streams of revenue. So that is what we said. And
the CS saying there should be no cause for alarm, as even the capitation of 15 billion shillings Higher Education Learning Board will not be touched.
My way of doing things is that I will be able to work very, very closely with stakeholders.
On Monday was warned that any attempts by the government to cut funding to public universities will render education expensive, as universities will charge students fees at market rate which will be beyond reach for many students.
And we launched the Kenyan-German TVET initiative for youth employment already in 2016. And such a large practical exposure increases both the practical technical knowledge as well as the social skills, which are equally important in a workplace.
We have a deficit of 130 trainers. We pray for timely flow of capitation.
Ruth Wamboy for Prime Edition.
An update from Egypt. President William Samoei Ruto has said that the carbon credits market should benefit communities fighting the adverse effects of climate change. Speaking during the launch of the African Carbon Markets Initiative, ACMI, that's in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, President Ruto said that Kenya is committed to working with initiatives such as ACMI in expanding carbon markets as well as carbon credit opportunities in the country. Ben Chumba reports.
Communities fighting climate change should benefit from carbon credits,
This was the message of President William Ruto at the launch of the African Carbon Markets Initiative ACMI at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt.
The good news is that the world has a golden opportunity to rapidly achieve these objectives by developing a robust, transparent, and sustainable mechanism through which a carbon credit market can yield attractive income and development opportunities for communities at the front line in the fight against climate change.
With Kenya accounting for over 20% of Africa's volume over the past 5 years in the generation of carbon credits, President Ruto noted that a portion of proceeds has been invested towards funding clean cooking and solar home systems.
We in Africa, and more specifically in Kenya, are more than just climate victims. I wish to persuade you that our strengths by far surpasses our weaknesses, and that our potential to make substantial positive global contributions overwhelmingly exceed our need for assistance.
President Ruto, while expressing Kenya's strong interest in a strong partnership with the African Carbon Markets Initiative, said Kenya will be generating more than 30 million tons of carbon credits annually, earning incomes and creating green jobs for the youth.
All evidence and projections indicate that we are still only scratching the surface of Kenya's potential. Some estimates suggest that by 2030, Kenya will be generating over 30 million tons of carbon credits annually, thereby earning hundreds of millions of dollars as incomes and creating hundreds of thousands of green jobs for our young people.
However, the president said it is vital that there are carbon markets that work for Kenyan and African communities, saying currently about 80% of the value of some carbon credits are captured by intermediaries.
We are at this moment spending...
Later, President Ruto addressed the inauguration summit of the International High-Level Panel on Water Investment for Africa, where he called for speedy capitalization of existing climate finance mechanism.
It is imperative that urgent measures be taken to effectively cushion Africa's people, their livelihoods, economies, and communities, and rapidly eradicate vulnerability. It is for this reason that accelerating adaptation is a matter of high priority throughout Africa.
Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Senior Assistant Inspector General Japheth Koome found himself in a tight spot when he appeared before the Administration and Internal Affairs Committee to defend his suitability to serve as the country's next Inspector General of Police. Koome, who has been in the police service for 31 years, was asked to explain his position on the violation of Kenyan rights during the violence that rocked the country in 2017 general poll when he served as the Nairobi Regional Commander. The IG nominee was also tasked to explain how he will deal with the chronic corruption in the police service. Kamcha Menza reports.
Appearing before the Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs, Police Inspector General nominee Japheth Koome was hard pressed to address a violation of human rights during the chaos that was experienced in the 2017 election when he served as the Nairobi Regional Commander.
You need to tell us how much you know about incidents which happened in 2017 after the election, and what assurances will you give Kenyans that you are up to the task to defend their rights?
The issue also surfacing in a sworn affidavit submitted by Zaina Kombo, who asked the committee not to approve him, questioning his integrity.
There's a cow who was died, I think somewhere in Madare. In Madare, the matter was investigated. Before a court of law, officers went, gave evidence, the family were there, gave evidence. Again, the matter was dealt with to logical conclusion by a court of law. I was not found culpable, honestly, Chair.
Koome, who indicated his net worth as 89 million Kenya shillings, was also taken to task to explain how, if approved, he will end the rampant corruption in the police service that has tainted the image of the service.
Any member of the public is out there, he captures a police officer receiving even a cent. That evidence is presented to us. Then there is a reward to that member of the public. Monetary reward.
MPs from cattle rustling prone regions were also keen to have the police IG nominee tell Kenyans how differently he will address the issue.
If you see a truckload of livestock passing Nakuru to Dakoreti or to Athi River, just tell us how you're going to know that this truck is not faring proceeds of banditry. Those are the things I would have wished to hear.
I'll go with you. I'll go to thought and ensure that we listen to, and that's why I mentioned the chair. The game changer is once we make this the county policing authorities operational.
Koome, who acknowledged that the service is tainted, vowed to take the bull by its horns, saying there will be no compromise in ensuring a safe and secure Kenya. He also noted that he will relook into the new police uniform, which he says the officers are not happy with. Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
Well, as we count down to the FIFA World Cup that's going to take place in Qatar, 12 more days to go. Remember that 28 of those matches will be beamed live right here on KBC, and the other 68 will also be broadcast on our radio station. So we're going to take a short break, but don't go away. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
My government has, with effect from today, declared the famine situation in the country as a national disaster. I now direct all arms of the government to mobilize the resources and coordinate their efforts in responding adequately. Our national assessment is that 10 million people are food insecure and require emergency support. These people will not be able to meet their minimum food requirements between now and the end of August, the year 2009, without emergency measures.
Hi, my name is Mr. Otieno. Na ukumbuke FIFA World Cup 2022 iko hapa here in KBC na kuhitaji. Karibu.
To get the pit as your skiza tune, dial *811 *397 hash.
You may be in the pit. You do not see how you could get out. But the good news is that you do not have to get by yourself. The Most High God is about to lift you out. He's about to turn the medical report. He's about to free you. He's about to open new doors, bringing new opportunities, new relationships. The pit is not your destination. Get ready to rise.
To get the pit, dial *811 *397 hash. *811 *397 hash.
Try not to make it me, can't mesh. Yeah, I know it's over. Now I can't believe we're free.
So I'm telling you, I'm sorry, but I'm leaving you. You never should have made me cry. I'm sorry, but I'm leaving you. Boy, I got
Welcome back. Our socials at KBC Channel 1 and my Twitter handle at Mboya24. The President William Ruto-led United Democratic Alliance Party has distanced itself from sentiments attributed to Fafi legislator Salah Farah on the removal of the presidential term limit. UDA says that whereas the proposal had not been tabled at its plenary for discussion, they would not support such a move, as the Mboya legislators dismissed the move, terming it laughable.
It is a move that is eliciting barrage of reactions just less than 100 days of Kenya Kwanza administration. Sentiments attributed to Fafi MP Salah Farah of UDA seeking to remove presidential term limit to cap it with age limit. According to the first-term MP, a good president should be allowed to rule for life, while a president who is not a performer should be removed through the ballot or after attaining 75 years.
Assuming that now the current government, we came in when the government, the economy is at a state we cannot talk of. We cannot implement those of the plan because of the debts and the amount of resources we have. So assume that the president now takes action in implementing his agendas. He has to write up or clean up some of the messes. That might take him 5 years, a term. So we'll only have maybe 5 years again to implement the agenda so he's talking of. So by 5 years again, you're going to remove it. So I was thinking maybe if we give any president for you to implement your agendas, clean up the mess of the other previous government or whatever it is, you're given a 5-year term to do that. And then you implement 2 terms again, you can do something. But I believe 2 terms is not enough for somebody to implement the agenda.
To attain this, Salah is proposing to amend the constitution to scrap the 2-term limit for president. But even his party UDA is not amazed, terming such sentiments fertile imagination and would not wish to be associated with the utterances.
That is not the position of the party. And I speak that with authority, that there is no such thinking that we need to review the constitution to extend the term limit. In any case, by the way, I mean, such is not the discussion to put right now.
This coming as Azimio la Umoja One Kenya MPs dismissing the proposal, termed it as draconian and dangerous for democracy.
You know, during the campaigns, we kept on reminding Kenyans that if they make a mistake of allowing the UDA brigade to take over the reins of power in this country, they will be allowing the country to take the Uganda direction.
We are asking the UDA administration to work for Kenyans and to stop all these shenanigans they're involved in.
The energy that UDA is using to test waters with the term limit issue, they should actually spend that energy on giving solutions to this country.
This Fafi man definitely has the honors, and we want the president to come clear on this issue because it's a very, very serious issue.
Currently, the constitution allows a president to only serve for a maximum of 2 terms of 5 years each and does not back candidates based on their age. Meanwhile, nominated Senator Gloria Magoma has called for investigations into alleged financial misappropriations at the Media Council of Kenya. Yeshok Washira, Prime Edition.
Now, the Senate Health Committee has absolved Thika Level 5 Hospital from any blame in the death of baby Travis. We remember he had a foco jembe lodged in his head. Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi appearing before the Senate Committee, accompanied by all medics who attended to the boy and defending their decision to refer the boy to Kenyatta National Hospital. The Kiambu team demonstrated the injury was just too deep to be treated at the Level 5 hospital and that it required services of a referral hospital.
So you can imagine now you have a forked hole inside the brain matter. You've had to displace a few things out of that. So that's why we had the brain edema, and we tried to give mannitol to reduce the effect that the brain had at that point. So if you were to immediately remove that, the brain would have to fill in with that gap with something, and that can crash.
This case elaborates very clearly that there's a very thin line between a patient for level 5 and a patient for level 6. Therefore, what we need to be working on is a system where these services are available where they are needed most, that is in the devolved centers. Look at the budget support given to level 6, compare that with what is given to level 5. With a very thin difference in service delivery, the budget support is very different, extremely different. Level 6 get their budgets in billions of shillings. Level 5 are left with, together with a county burden of from level 1 to be funded at the same time.
I believe that there's a lot to be done, there, Chair, for us to acquire that status. I believe verily that, for example, in Gatondo, we have that capacity. Now, when upon inspection, as I said earlier too, I found that in Gatondo we have a very state-of-the-art theatre that has never been operationalized with very sophisticated equipment inside. But for the last 1 year or more than 1 year, it's just been stagnant. And so I believe what we need to do is to ensure that that is realized.
Your team has done very well. The report they have given, I think there is slight variance from what the relatives gave us, but by and large, it corroborates with what the family gave.
Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumicha has backed reforms being undertaken at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA, to enhance efficiency in its operations. She, however, said that improved performance will have to go in tandem with addressing the welfare of staff. Speaking during a familiarization tour of KEMSA Supply Chain Center that's at Embakasi, Nakumicha urged KEMSA to embrace local production of drugs to lower cost of production. She said adoption of technology by KEMSA would certainly enhance transparency as well as accountability.
So you can imagine the size of it.
The reforms are going to go on, and through the board and the management, they are going to look at what are the best ways to achieve optimum staff for us to be able to perform that which is expected of us from the rest of Kenyans. Because as a country, we are geared towards promoting local manufacturing, especially for pharmaceuticals. And KEMSA as a strategic partner, then we expect that the management moves into that direction in ensuring that they are able to buy locally. And by so doing, then we hope that then we shall be able to bring down the cost of healthcare in this country. And for those businessmen and women outside there who are looking to do business with KEMSA, you are welcome, but just know that we are going to move digitally. And therefore, we are going to put in public. Anyone who thinks they're going to become billionaires or millionaires, the public will be able to follow through online to see how they are achieving their billions or their millions.
Now, education stakeholders in arid and semi-arid regions have expressed fears over the possibility of candidates from those areas missing out on the forthcoming national examinations. Why? The prolonged drought. In Tiati constituency, for instance, that's in Baringo County, many school-going children rather have dropped out of school instead of joining and have joined their parents in search of food and also water. Professionals in that area are now calling for speedy intervention from the national government to ensure that candidates in ASAL regions sit the national exams.
Tiati constituency in Baringo County is battling the ongoing drought. Most school-going children from the constituency have dropped out of school due to the ravaging drought. Irene Tula, Lapukot professional, is calling on the government's speedy intervention, saying most candidates risk missing the examination owing to the drought situation.
Because the same students are going to sit exams and they'll be examined with the same exam. The same students sitting in Nairobi will be sitting for the same exam, and they are supposed to be admitted to the same schools, and so far nothing has so far been given whether there will be special consideration for students.
Chesakam Primary School head teacher Patrick Mdani said families depend on schools to get food, citing a recent case where a student collapsed at the school due to hunger. The school has received food donation, but the principal is appealing for more.
Ukosefu wa chakula katika shule na hata ukosefu wa maji imekuwa changamoto katika shule hii.
Calls continue to be made on the government to reintroduce the school feeding program as an immediate mitigation measure, especially for schools in areas worst affected. This coming as the Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization donated food to women in Kajiado's Matapatu South in Kajiado Central. The organization's chair Rahab Mikali calling on the government to ensure relief food gets to those villagers, saying many are starving.
We need to go deep inside in the interior so that we now make sure every family is getting something.
Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, the black box of the ill-fated precision airplane that crashed Sunday into Lake Victoria, killing 19 people, has been retrieved. Tanzania government spokesperson Gerson Msigwa said that the critical equipment will aid in investigations by government backed by the plane manufacturers. The plane crashed a few meters from the Bukoba airport.
Kuna watengenezaji wa engine ambao pia kwa pamoja wanakuja kufanya uchunguzi.
Tanzania's government spokesperson Gerson Msigwa says a team of experts has kicked off investigations as to what led to the crash of the commercial flight operated by Precision Air Monday.
Pia wataalamu kutoka kampuni ya ATR ambao ndio watengenezaji wa ndege iliyopata ajali wanatarajiwa kuwasili leo, wataungana na timu ya wataalamu waliopo hapa.
The plane crash that led to the death of 19 people in Lake Victoria, Tanzania, occurred a few meters from Bukoba Airport. Speaking to the press in Tanzania, Msigwa said the wreckage of the ill-fated plane has already been pulled off from the lake.
Uchunguzi wa ajali za ndege unafanywa na pande tatu. Kwanza kitengo cha uchunguzi, lakini pili unafanywa na kampuni ya ndege, kampuni iliyotengeneza ndege iliyopata ajali, na kwa ndege hii ya Precision kampuni inayohusika ni ATR ya Ufaransa.
Burial preparations for those who perished from the plane crash are ongoing. Msigwa says the implementation of a law to manage disasters is in the pipeline, and when it goes through, it will enhance safety measures in the country of Tanzania. Msigwa has called for patience as investigations into the incident begin. Irene Mchuma Udim, the Prime Edition.
Well, the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, IEK, now wants government and National Construction Authority to put stringent measures in the construction industry to ensure quality is adhered to in the sector. Speaking after visiting an 8-story building that collapsed in Tasia, Embakasi Monday in the evening, IEK Vice President Nancy Muthoni regretted that a number of buildings erected in the country do not meet the required standards and are therefore an occupational hazard to construction workers and also a risk to would-be users. This comes as the Red Cross team continues with the rescue mission in Tasia. It is feared that a number of people have been trapped inside the collapsed building. However, no casualties have been reported so far.
We need to enhance collaboration from ourselves. We are a members body. We have got members who are professionals, who are trained, who we train, and we keep on training, and we emphasize on training so that they can be competent in what they do. And then we have got the regulator, the Engineers Board of Kenya, who also makes sure that only those who are competent are put on the register. And at the same time, we have got the National Construction Authority, who also makes sure that only competent contractors are given the right to undertake this kind of a project. And then we have got the county government who approve the drawing. So you can see it's a collaboration between all these agencies. Yeah.
Now, a family in Longonot town now has a reason to smile after their mother, Margaret Joki, who is battling cancer, was rescued from what has been endless suffering. Courtesy of Nakuru County Government, Margaret will now undergo chemotherapy sessions free of charge at the new cancer center in Nakuru town.
For 4 years now, Margaret Njoki has had to endure painful and sleepless nights due to a tumor that ended up being cancerous after years of seeking treatment.
Nilipata tumor kwa thai 2018 na nikafanyiwa operation Naivasha 2019. Baada ya kukaa mwaka mmoja na nusu ikarudi.
The mother of 5 narrates her untold suffering in the last 2 years after failing to get money to undergo chemotherapy sessions at Kenyatta National Hospital, a situation that forced her to retreat back home.
Chungu, kutoweza kula sana, kutotembea, hivyo. Ni kukosa pesa, juu watu wangu hawana nguvu.
Na wakati tulikuwa tumechanga, pesa zikaisha juu kemo ilikuwa na pesa nyingi juu alikuwa analipa 86,000 per month.
However, after the endless suffering, it is now joy to her and her family as she will now undergo treatment free of charge at the newly opened cancer center in Nakuru town thanks to the county government.
Siku ya leo nimefurahi juu nimeona at least kuna matumaini mama yangu atapona.
The county government decried high number of cancer cases in the country, noting that the new cancer center will come in handy to assist the patients in the region. Jacqueline Masharia for Prime Edition.
Yo, what up? My name is DJ Piera McKenna. Listen, KBC Channel 1 is the only channel that is showing World Cup exclusively. Yeah, keep watching it. Have a good time.
So tell me, which team are you playing for, my dear Rene? Is it your damn father's team? Or is it mine?
Yes, you are my son, Tobias.
Do you remember? Do you remember you once asked me to help you find your son? Well, here I am.
Why is Dad with another woman? What are you going to tell her? I mean, at the end of the day, you have no right over her or her life.
What do you want? What are you doing here?
Hey, you still have the audacity to look at me that way? In your repulsive state? Really now?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you mean? I saw you, Almudena. I saw you in the cafeteria hugging Jaime, Gisela's husband. To be honest, I never thought you could do it. But you know what? You have no idea how much it disappoints me. I'm sorry to inform you that you will never be able to speak again. Apart from that, your hands are useless.
No. No. This cannot be happening to me, Doctor. I can't.
very good evening to you. Thank you for keeping it Prime Edition here on Channel 1. Time to get the latest in the world of business. My name is Betty Kiptum. The government is set to spend 600 million shillings in the revival of cash-strapped East African Portland Cement Company based in Athi River through affordable housing projects and commercializing of its prime chunks of land. Trade, Investment and Industry Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria said a cargo hub and green energy company will be set up in the company's idle land in a bid to ensure it returns to profitability.
The East African Portland Cement Company was incorporated in Kenya with the first factory in Nairobi's industrial area. The company had one cement mill and used imported clinker from India for cement manufacturing, with production capacity of about 60,000 tons of cement at the time. However, the company's performance dropped owing to lack of working capital, bloated workforce and ancient technology.
A big round of applause for everybody.
In its annual report of its performance this year, the company reported a 71.3% drop in profit, which had fallen to 541.59 million shillings in the year to June 2022 from 1.89 billion shillings in 2021 after tax. However, the government has announced plans of reviving it by setting up a cargo hub and a green energy company at the river's idle land.
We can't export our vegetables because we don't have enough flights for cargo from this country. And we want to we are discussing with a number of partners to use the idle land we have within East African Portland Cement to develop Kenya's first exclusive cargo airport right here. It will be done. Because last week we had a meeting and I asked Oliver to choose one thing. We use the land profitably, we use the land productively, we use the land to help ourselves, or you allow me to transfer you to the Ministry of Lands.
Reviving the company will cost an estimated 600 million shillings according to the planned strategies. Oliver Kirubai, the company managing director, says modernization will ensure it tames carbon emission.
And we are looking at a better customer satisfaction by introducing a new brand, the Green Triangle Cement. Among the things that we are focused on is actually the truck turnaround.
Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Now, county governments have been urged to fully incorporate professional planners in executing urban developments. The Kenya Institute of Planners says mushrooming of market centers and townships along major roads in the country poses a significant risk to quality of life, hence the need to plan strategically for sustainable development. Weekly Focus reports from Kisumu.
The world's urban population is projected to hit the 60% mark by the year 2030. This has led to the mushrooming of market centers and townships along major roads in the country, something the Kenya Institute of Planners warns could pose a significant risk to the quality of life if left unregulated.
And we want to talk to our governments to really prioritize funding, planning for sustainable urbanization. In terms of sustainability, we'll be able to know the demand because we don't only plan for the current population. Our plans are usually forecasted 10 years, 20 years. We actually plan for 10 years ahead, and we're able to tell government this is the direction that will go in this particular city and in this particular county.
The institute therefore wants both the national and county governments to fully engage professional planners for sustainable development.
In this region, we are performing poorly. None of the counties in this region has an approved county spatial plan. All right. So how are you funding? How are you basing your projects on? We've seen the region also taking a lead in terms of forming the economic bloc, bringing the counties along the lake region together. These will only be cemented when you have a proper spatial plan. Not every county will have an international stadium. We cannot have viability where every county has an airport. You know, we need to come together and look at it from a spatial point of view. Where are our strengths, and the counties that have certain strengths are given the competitive edge to go about it.
He says a failure by local administrations to involve planning professionals was partly the reason some projects did not bear the intended fruits.
In that regard, we are actually able to advise which are the kind of careers we want. There'll be this number of people, and we usually have thresholds that for healthcare, for every 1,000 people, you need one doctor, one nurse, one teacher, one policeman. So we're able to even advise sustainably which are these careers that are going to be.
We are now promoting participatory planning processes. This means that even I, as an implementing partner, when I'm coming to you with an intervention, it needs to be co-developed, co-designed and co-developed with you and implemented together with you, because then you not only have the ownership, but you also are informing exactly where the pain points are.
Solution to such, according to the Kenya Institute of Planners, lies in the liaison between the Institute and national and county government authorities. For a Prime Edition from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okage.
Now, Kenya will increase funding to projects that help in climate adaptation as the country seeks to minimize the impacts of climate change. President William Ruto says the country will deepen investments in renewable energy, reforestation and electronic transport system. Ruto spoke on the sidelines of the climate change conference in Egypt.
Climate adaptation is now becoming a popular initiative when it comes to dealing with issues around climate change. Many countries around the world have embraced this concept in a bid to help their communities to adapt to the new realities of changing weather patterns, and Kenya has not been left behind. Climate adoption is becoming a critical conversation in the world in a bid to help affected countries invest in more climate-resilient projects. In Africa, the continent requires 3.5 trillion shillings for climate adoption, though only 620 billion shillings is mobilized. Kenya, which is one of the countries most affected by climate change in Africa, says it will inject billions of shillings in major climate-resilient projects.
The same way we have managed to push loss and damage into the agenda, and it has been recognized, I am very confident that Africa's special circumstances will be next in line to be recognized, to be appreciated, and so that we can have a comprehensive conversation about climate change.
This will involve overhauling the country's energy infrastructure to make it more efficient, plant 10 billion trees in the next 10 years while transitioning to renewable energy. Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing climate change conference in Egypt, President William Ruto has appealed to development partners to work with Kenya in realizing its long-term green dream.
We are also exploring opportunities with the private sector in carbon markets, in carbon credit, and I am confident that finally the whole world is going to come to terms with the existential threat that we face as humanity, not necessarily as Africans, and be able to take the right steps.
The adaptation agenda is one of the comprehensive global plan to rally the private and public sectors to adopt a set of 30 adaptation outcomes that are required by the year 2030 across food and agriculture, water and nature, and infrastructure systems in a bid to reduce the impact of climate change in the world.
O'Brien Kimani reporting live from Egypt there. Now, listed companies have been urged to adopt sustainability reporting mechanisms to enhance their profitability and investment attractiveness to local and foreign investors. Nairobi Securities Exchange CEO Geoffrey Odundo says, due to the impact of the climate action agenda, investors are increasingly looking for information around the level of environmental, social and governance compliance and asset allocation in listed companies. Here are the details of these and other stories in our corporate briefs.
The Absa Africa Financial Markets Index ranks Kenya the highest in the market transparency, tax and regulatory environment pillar, following the introduction of climate risk regulatory frameworks and environmental, social and governance asset classes, such as green bonds in the capital markets. On the back of regulations it introduced last year, requiring financial institutions to adopt climate risk guidelines to foster sustainable finance practices in the banking sector, listed lenders are being encouraged to adopt sustainability reporting mechanisms.
Conventional or traditional assets
our traditional or conventional fund managers and owners of capital have now provided an asset allocation for ESG assets. So it's something, it's not only a good to do, but I think it's necessary for the survival of our people and for the future protection.
Perhaps it's about time that we could be able to divert those investments towards what is largely their approach currently on consumption. It's mainly used towards consumption.
Meanwhile, Equity Bank has enhanced its PayPal withdrawal services by migrating it from the previous web-based portal to Equity mobile app and Equity Online, Equity's internet banking platform. The shift has streamlined the onboarding process for customers' PayPal accounts and offers additional services, creating an enhanced experience to fit the diverse customer needs.
The customers now will be able to link and have the withdrawal service of PayPal through the Equity mobile and Equity Online alongside other numerous offerings that are given through that platform.
And Epson has earmarked 830 million shillings to finance decarburization, resource recycling, and an accelerated program to develop environmental technologies. This is part of the efforts by the company to reduce direct emissions by 44% within 3 years by use of heat-free printing technology.
We're looking at working fully with renewable energy by 2023. We're looking at being part of UN's Sustainable Development Goals and having all our manufacturing processes aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals as set out by the United Nations.
Finally, micro, small and medium-sized enterprises in the green economy have highlighted a lack of loan provisions, owing to challenges in availing tangible collateral. Financial institutions are being encouraged to create loan provisions for the industry through time extensions and collaborations with guarantee facilities that allow flexibility and de-risking.
Which makes it even more possible to finance those businesses. But they are bankable anyway. Yeah, they are bankable business anyway. Yeah, so the structuring makes it a lot more robust, and that is possible then with that, so that we can be able to scale it up.
A lack of collateral is a problem that many micro, small and medium enterprises face, especially in unconventional sectors. However, financial institutions are looking towards collaboration in order to de-risk the situation. Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Hibak, for that report. That brings us to the end of the business news this evening. But of course, 12 days to go to the much-awaited FIFA World Cup. We shall be giving you the details of just what to expect. Karen Kibet is coming up with sports news. My name is Betty Kiptum. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
Will go for it and score! An inspirational moment from Toni Kroos. Well, when they're down, when they are tested, they find a way to win.
The world's biggest sporting event is here with us. The FIFA World Cup 2022 in Qatar. KBC Television will air live 28 selected matches, while radio will beam live all the 64 matches. We would like to bring to the attention of the public that KBC is the only station that has exclusive 2022 FIFA World Cup free-to-air FTA broadcast rights for both TV and radio in the Kenya territory, and no other media outlet. Therefore, catch all the FIFA World Cup action live and exclusive on KBC TV and radio. KBC is indeed your true sports partner.
Thank you for keeping it KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. Now, with 12 days to go to the much-awaited FIFA World Cup in Qatar, in our player profile segment today, we feature American soccer team captain Christian Pulisic. Pulisic became the youngest player ever to captain the USA when he led his country out against Italy in November 2018, aged 20 years and 63 days. Moving on, the Arsenal duo of Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli made the cut as Brazil named their 26-man World Cup squad. In other news, Manchester United midfielder Christian Eriksen has been included in Denmark's preliminary squad to play in the Qatar World Cup finals. The World Cup finals will be broadcasted live on KBC Channel 1 and all affiliate radio stations beginning on the 20th of this month to the 18th of December 2022. For sure, World Cup.
This is moment. Neymar equalises for Brazil.
Brazil national soccer team coach Tite has named a star-studded World Cup squad made up of 9 forwards as the Seleção seek for glory in Qatar. The team includes Paris Saint-Germain forward Neymar Jr., Chelsea defender Thiago, as well as Real Madrid's winger Vinicius Jr. In Asia, Shuto Machino has been called up to the Japanese soccer team to replace Yuta Nakayama, who is nursing an injury. The 23-year-old striker has scored 3 times in 4 appearances in Japan. In North America, Canadian goalkeeper Maxime Crepeau will miss the Qatar World Cup after suffering a broken right leg over the weekend while playing the MLS Cup final. The Los Angeles FC goalkeeper suffered the injury during extra time in a collision that earned him a red card. The World Cup finals will be broadcast live on KBC Channel 1 and all affiliate radio stations beginning on the 20th of this month to the 18th of December 2022.
It is Youngberg. What a save!
World Cup iko KBC.
Save by Crepeau to set it. Hiya, hiya, hiya. Hiya, hiya, hiya. You know what it is. Hiya, hiya.
That right there is my team, Brazil. I pray that Brazil will win the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Let's move on. The National Baseball 5 team will face Tunisia tomorrow evening in their Group A opening match in the first ever Baseball 5 World Cup tournament in Mexico. The Kenyan team, which has been in camp since the 20th of August in preparation for the tournament, will then face Venezuela in their second match on Thursday morning. The tournament is taking place in El Zocalo in Mexico City and will end this Sunday. Kenya qualified for the global event after beating Uganda 2-0 in the semi-finals of the African qualifiers, but then lost the final series to South Africa in consecutive games 5-4 and 5-1 to finish in second place in the African continent. Kenya is competing in the maiden Baseball 5 World Cup against 11 nations from the 5 continents. And those are all the sports stories we had for you tonight. 12 days to the World Cup. 12 days sounds so far. It's just next weekend, guys. I'm super excited. So keep it KBC because we will be televising the event live and exclusive. 28 matches and all 64 matches on all our radio platforms. So stay tuned. My name is Karen Kibet. Have yourself a peaceful night. The broadcast is not yet over as I do hand you back to my colleague Tom Mboya, who is on my left side. Tom, take it away.
Many thanks indeed, Marakwet. Well, that's all we had time for. On behalf of KBC Prime Edition team, I want to thank you this day that ISPAC advised the newly elected county chiefs to prioritize settling pending bills to avert a national financial crisis. From Nairobi, Kenya, thank you for watching. I'm Mboya. Good night.